Oh, so you don't. You're the one I got lots of.
We'll go ahead and get started with our chamber reports. Troy.
Hello and good evening, everybody. I am here for your dinner time entertainment. I'm going to share screen, share screen here, go through just a few slides. Pedestrian wise, kind of knowing what's going on out there. Our June did a slow increase. As you can see here, every Saturday was a little bit better than the previous Saturday. Looks good by itself, but when you layer that next to 2024 being in blue here, you see that there weren't very many bright moments for 25 here. The third weekend here, the last two weekends were some good, but was really trounced at the end, at the beginning of the month, which means that June ended the month at about a negative 10 to 15% down for pedestrian counts over the previous year. And then July so far isn't looking too much better. Month to date, pedestrian counts are down by about 9% as well, with the 5th of July being the first bright spot of the month, with some big increases there over that time period. That's footfalls, but coming to Selby's most important task of the year, tapping the keg here. But Oktoberfest tickets went on sale on July 1st. Our press release got picked up by Fox 13, and so they invited myself and our Hosea, who is with the Rhinehouse. Rhinehouse was our top sponsor this year, invited us on for a couple segments on July 1st itself. So that is why I'm sorry I was not able to make the ribbon cutting at the restrooms. I was in Seattle sticking plungers on my head in live TV to do a pretzel toss. It was when I was on my knees on live TV in Q13 studio with a plunger on my head was when I realized that, yes, I will do anything to sell tickets to Oktoberfest, apparently. But it was, yeah, we had a segment with Stein Holding and a segment with Manuela Horn doing a pretzel toss later that morning. And then in case you do get asked or you're wondering yourself, we opened the RSVP locals night list on September 1st. So we staggered a bit. So once we open, everyone can register for that first Friday opening night. I don't know if you catch the Recreation Ambassador reports we put in the Bavarian Bulletin, but they come out every Monday. I highlighted some things just to make you guys aware, just some frightening things that happen, like somebody attempting to light a firework mortar at Kolchak Lake over this past weekend. They were really only stopped by other recreators and just shaming and screaming at them to stop and don't do it. But we're also seeing some of the other things we thought we would see, like overgrown trail conditions, trailhead restroom trash cans overfull, and our ambassadors have been the toilet paper fairies because they have been stocking about 15 rolls a day, helping to restock the toilets. So there's toilet paper there. So that is just some information. They also good job of doing about 11 30-gallon trash bags of trash that they collected over that weekend. So Selby's been sitting in, we've been sitting in on those river rec meetings, and I think they've done a great job of getting the assets out really quickly, and we're doing more because kind of ironically, their closure this year really does correlate with how low the river is. So it would have kind of needed to do this regardless if they had decided to close the parking lot or not. And then good news on our Carvings for Causes. We have raised just over $3,000 now, which means our two identified nonprofits, Leavenworth Mountain Association and Chelan County Mountain Rescue, will get to split those proceeds at the end of July, unless the bids go up higher. And let's see. Oh, and then one last thing to share is exciting news for us was that our beams were delivered today. So you can see going up here, these two big, huge beams going through the space are attached on to either side of the main beam. And there's going to be two other support beams going underneath that, which will take the load off the middle of the room and put it on the exterior walls and really help this building out, but also allow us to open up the space for our new Welcome Center. And that is all I have for you tonight.
Troy, could you?
Any
I didn't
questions?
quite. Yeah, so I was gonna ask you just, what was the thing about the fireworks? They were attempting to set up fireworks in where?
Colchuck Lake.
Kolchak
Cool.
Lake?
In the lake.
Not the lake.
At the lake.
At
Oh,
the-
okay,
At the lake, yeah.
okay. Wow. Yeah,
The power of shame and humiliation stopped them. But
good,
you know,
yeah.
this person hiked for quite a while with that firework, with that intention. So
Huh,
um,
good for those guys.
Any other questions or? Thank you, Troy.
Thanks,
Thanks, Troy.
thank you guys. I appreciate the time you give me. Thank you.
All right. Our next item is a discussion about the roundabout and gateway discussion. Calvin.
Thank you, Mayor. So as we reviewed when we were doing the capital improvement plan a couple weeks ago, the city has a budget of $150,000 in lodging taxes for some kind of gateway feature in the roundabout, in the middle of the roundabout at Highway 2 and Icicle. What we haven't ever discussed was what, if anything, we actually want to do there now that the roundabout is done. I thought what I would do is share some examples of roundabouts design. So this is the one at the new Easy Street roundabout in Wenatchee. I saw a lot of public criticism about the final design of this one when the roundabout was done, but everybody's a critic. What I don't know is how Wenatchee decided on this design. And that's something that we can discuss. So that's one. See if this continues with my stop sharing. Not now. Let me see another. So I didn't have time planned to put a presentation together for you, and I just ran out of time for it. There's a whole website about all the roundabout designs in the city of Bend. Now, they're larger than us, obviously. There are 100,000 people. But they have a whole website and a map about going around to their various roundabouts and looking at the public art that is in their roundabout. So these are, again, this is a website, visitbend.com. So it's through their visitor center website. You could Google this and find all of these. I'm not certain, I've done any research about how they chose which designs to go with in which roundabout. That's again, something that we could discuss if you do want to move forward with spending this lodge tax dollars on a gateway feature for our new roundabout. So some thoughts that I had about it is whether or not, I guess we should establish first whether or not we want to do anything. When the roundabout was created, we did put in conduit for electric and I believe water. Is that right, Andy, as well? So the sky's the limit as far as what we want to do there, as long as it abides by DOT standards. One thought that I had was maybe not do anything this time of year, but in the winter months, put up a pole and string some lights and have this like tree, lighted tree that you can see as you're coming through into town as an idea. We already have a large Welcome to Leavenworth sign right by the roundabout up Tumwater Canyon, just a few feet, that I see lots of people pulling over and taking selfies at. What I would advise we not do is put something in this roundabout that is going to be an attractive nuisance. How do I stop sharing? Because we don't want people standing out in the middle of the roundabout to take selfies. And there already is a place where people do that in front of the sign. So what I would like to hear from council is a discussion about whether or not we should pursue some kind of gateway feature in that location. And if so, what kind of process you would like to use. What I was thinking is if you guys do want to move forward with that, is we would do some kind of design competition. I've never done one before, but there's plenty of roadmaps out there for us to follow to do something like that. And I would think that we'd want to ask people to submit designs that are realistic within our $150,000 budget, but also give an award to whomever whose design is selected as a, as an award. So that's all I have to present to you. So, just want to hear from the council. If you have any thoughts and direction for us?
Yeah, I think you covered a lot of it, right? We don't want, as a safety thing, we already have a nice welcome to Leavenworth sign, great. We don't need another one that says welcome to Leavenworth, should be in our piece. We should do something. First of all, I believe we should do something. Second of all, it's less of a council thing really than would you consider the design review board being this conduit to getting submissions and making a decision and presenting it, vetting it and doing all that, presenting to us maybe top three. I could see that route instead of us kind of doing it. And then the criteria, setting the criteria, we'd set the criteria potentially, or they can with a local artist being number one. If there aren't local artists that want to submit or aren't a 3D artist or a bronze, foundry, bronze sculptist, or whatever it is, 3D art person or photograph in this area, whatever it is, watercolor. Just having the criteria, we can maybe approve the criteria, we can have them just do everything and then present to us. I don't know. I think we start with, like you said, deciding whether we're gonna do something or not, and then finding an ad hoc committee or something, do that.
I think we really definitely should do something. That's too much of an iconic spot to leave unadorned.
It's also a little unsightly right now.
Yeah. So, yeah, we should do something. I think maybe inviting the community, maybe through engagement night or something else, what they are thinking, like submitting ideas, just sure how to do that, but I think we should broaden it to that. And then what they make, I don't know, but something, that's a beautiful spot. It's it's the road to the icicle. It's like, it's right below Tumwater Mountains. I mean, that is the spot. So yeah, we should do something, just sure exactly and include the community on what they like to see there.
I'm just trying to wrap my head around how we can make something attractive that won't be an attractive nuisance.
Right.
I mean, I'm closing my eyes and I'm looking at that sight line, looking east of Highway 2 towards the town. If there's something gorgeous right there, people will take selfies. I mean, they will. It's an iconic spot, just
People
like you
don't
said.
stop in Wenatchee for selfies.
But Leavenworth isn't Wenatchee, respectfully.
Do they stop?
It is.
Big stuff?
It isn't.
I mean, Ben's a good example, just bigger, but
No, I don't see people on the roundabouts.
I don't think so, really.
And there are some that could be cool selfie spots and they don't do that.
it's a pretty bold place to, you're really putting yourself out there, right?
Yeah, and the roundabouts just
Yeah.
About it.
busy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, people won't
Other
even
people
put
aren't bold.
they won't even put their cars out there, much less.
Yeah.
I think that this would be really great work for an ad hoc committee that has business owners, residents, city staff, and a couple city council members on it. And they're the primary driver of a project like this to help really hone criteria and potentially how it's going to be designed and come up with a couple of ideas that the community could then be a part of. But that way we can capture some of the criteria, like not being a nuisance. And I really think this thing should be Bavarian themed in some sort of way. It can be outdoor themed because that's also very Bavarian, but I also think that this, because it is like a keystone piece at one of the entrances into our community, it needs to have a Bavarian focus. And I think that if this was just open to the community to submit designs, that it would be hard to really check all the boxes on what we need for it.
It's also the gateway, not that that's our focus, but it's the gateway icicle
Mhm.
goals too. So
Yeah.
I like that outdoor focused. I think, appreciate you pointing out, that Bend is bigger than us, and also, that you've never done the request for design before. And those reasons, I think it would make sense to reach out to them. I'm a big fan of finding people who have successfully done something that you want to do and gleaning from them. So they might have willingness to share their whole process with us. Down to the nuisance, avoiding a nuisance issue, what guidelines they had of what to put where. This would presumably be a first of potentially several in our town.
Right.
We have another roundabout slated for Chumstick.
Yep.
And then the county has one for North Road.
North Road, okay. And then we also maybe have one up Titus at some point, is that right? Or is
No.
that not true?
No,
Okay. So maybe what we do here, I think we should consider that this is gonna have a cascade effect.
Tying it into it.
Yeah.
We see it kind of being good.
So I'm hearing pretty universal support for moving forward.
Yeah.
Okay. I was also thinking, Ann, of having some kind of subcommittee, rather than assigning us to an existing design review board, although they would probably get DRB approval, as part of this process. So why don't I take some time to do some additional research on how other communities have done this process and bring something back in a couple of months to further discussion?
the other thing, I mean, we do have some great artists that could submit some suggested ideas as well in this community. My concern would be if we do a subcommittee, I don't think we'd want to make it up of those potential artists that want to submit something. I mean, if you're gonna do some kind of competitive thing, and I mean, I like that idea, see what kind of ideas the community could have. I mean, you give them some parameters, not to, we don't want to draw everybody out there, but we want it to still represent, again, some of the varying motif, our outdoors, and see what they come up with, you know, but.
To that, Scosa could have a little, some references in there.
I feel like,
Also,
I feel like having some sort of ad hoc committee, though, putting all of that information together before we go out might be a really good idea. So that we make sure that we capture the criteria we really need to meet for all the things that we have discussed.
are the monies tied to that roundabout, or are those monies available for?
It's what was
roundabout?
it was what was set aside in particular. for
That's
that
actually
roundabout. It was part of our contribution to the roundabout
Yeah,
construction that was basically done by Link.
so my uncle was an artist in Tempe, established artist for decades and decades, and one year off of Mill Avenue in Tempe, where Arizona State is, he did a 55-foot plasma cut statue, this metal statue, a tribute to Harry Mitchell, the former governor of Arizona. And it was $55,000. This is in the mid-90s.
Mhm.
The uproar, $55,000. It was a huge plus. The artist, he made like $5,000. It was so expensive and the materials or whatever. So fast forward, he just did one 4 years ago in the gateway of Old Town Scottsdale, this big white rabbit. And the same kind of thing, right? And that was a lot more monies, 4 years ago. But I'm just curious, the $150,000, I'd like to see that, as you mentioned, like with other roundabouts, especially one other one, and that's whether it's in the county or us, they need to be kind of tied together. It would be nice to have them tied together. And again, back to the criteria. Are we deciding the criteria for some of these for the ad hoc, or just, I guess, my roundabout dizzying communication that just trying to establish this $150,000. It's a lot of money for a roundabout. And it's not enough money for two roundabouts. Because I'm trying to figure out, depending on what we do.
Yeah, this is budgeted, this 150 for this particular gateway feature and this particular map.
Doesn't mean you have to spend it all, but it is what's budgeted.
Okay, so is there an opportunity for the next roundabout, or is that, what does that look like? We can get more monies to do something else on that roundabout, or are we just all putting everything in this one roundabout?
We set a budget.
Yeah, you budget for each item, each thing you do. We don't.
The difference is this particular roundabout was funded by others. When we look at Pine Street, we'll be funding that. And North Street, that'll be the county.
When you talk to maybe Vent or whoever, maybe I'm sure part of your questions is 150,000 the right number?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I will ask. I'm looking at some of their art, thinking that it might have cost that.
And bronzes, yeah.
I think Wenatchee was more.
Just the cost of construction is so expensive, $150,000, depending on what you're interested in, more than just, if there's landscaping and it's organization and all that, $150,000 could be like.
How much was the Wenatchee one?
I think Wenatchee's was more.
That one we just saw?
Yeah, well, you just saw the
I can
tree.
see why there's
The
public
tree,
outcry.
yeah, it was created by an artist.
Yep. I'm just saying, because they also got the criticism that everybody gets if you spend money on art.
Has any art installation had universal acceptance?
Yeah, right. Then it's probably not good art.
I think the breezes are still mad at this. I felt that way.
All right, thank you very much, council. Appreciate it.
All right. Next is a resolution in support of funding for Amtrak, and I understand that's changed a little.
It has. So, thank you, Mayor. I'll take this. I will admit that I jumped the gun on this, proposed resolution. The city back in May was contacted by Mark Meyer, who's a regional representative of the Aurora Group, which is a group of railroad professionals who are very passionate about sustaining, passenger rail, long distance intercity passenger rail in particular. And he was concerned, reached out to us, concerned about the fact that he didn't see any budget request from Amtrak in the federal budget. And reached out to us, asking us, hey, could you guys do something to spur your congressman to make sure that a budget request for Amtrak is submitted this year, with the fear that not doing so could jeopardize the Empire Builder, which is the line that stops at Icicle Station here just outside city limits, which serves 13,000 passengers. It served 13,000 passengers in Leavenworth in 2024. So working with Mark, we drafted a draft resolution for your consideration and asked Mark to come along. What I failed to do was reach out to Amtrak because we had a contact. The mayor and I had a meeting with someone from Amtrak a couple of years ago, and it just didn't occur to me, working at the pace that we're working, to reach out to Amtrak and see, hey, is this necessary? But I got an email from the person that the mayor and I did meet with a couple of years ago, Chase. And he says, hey, Selby, you might have jumped the gun a bit. We've submitted our budget request. So I invited Chase along to speak with the council and basically just talk about Amtrak's budget request, keep the Empire Builder traveling along through Leavenworth. So Chase, thank you for attending our meeting. If you want to unmute yourself and interject whatever you feel relevant, it'd be appreciated.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me. It's good to see you again. Chase Kitchen, Government Affairs Manager for Amtrak in the Northwest. As Selby mentioned, we have submitted our budget request for the year. Admittedly, it was a little bit later this year than you might typically expect. The new administration and new leadership at the Department of Transportation and the Federal Railroad Administration just took a little bit of time for them to work through first their budget requests and then for us to immediately follow over. So we have submitted our budget request to Congress. The administration has submitted theirs, and they have the virtue of matching this year, and they are similar levels. It is a request for similar levels of funding that we have received in the last few years. So, the total is about $2.4 billion for the entire operations around the country, along with some capital investments, and then actually an increase in funding in the national networks. That's all of our operations outside of the Northeast Corridor, like the Empire Builder. So there's a lot of good news in there in that budget request. And, a lot of investments and potential new equipment coming in the coming years. It's a good story there. So really appreciate the city's continued interest in Amtrak and funding and all that kind of stuff. We would welcome an expression of support for those funding levels that will allow us to continue to operate the Empire Builder and invest in the future of those services. But really up to you all to decide what y'all might think is appropriate for Leavenworth to take.
Chase, do you feel like a messaging from us would be useful? You kind of suggested that you're welcome to it, or hope you're, but is it gonna help?
Oh, always helps, right? I think particularly, right, to members of Congress, it is always welcome for them to hear the support from local folks for this services, right? you know, as you mentioned, 13,000 on and off, so, you know, boardings and at the icicle station. It's a lot of people coming to town. It is always beneficial for folks to know that you're interested in continuing that service and investing in the future of it.
What sort of timeline are you on? When do you expect to hear back regarding your budgetary request?
Well, we're working with Congress, so you know, you're they operate on the federal fiscal year, which you know, it typically ends, or it's currently scheduled to end at the end of September, right? So September 30th. So they will, you know, be expected to start their appropriations process in a little more earnest once they get back from the holiday break and such. The exact schedule, you know, is really up for them to set. You know, as has often been the case in the last decade or so, that they pass continuing resolutions and they don't actually fund, you know, pass a full budget until later in the year. But it will start getting work on it in the next, you know, kind of in earnest in the next month or two.
Any other questions?
Yeah, did you guys budget more to get the Wi-Fi fixed? I went to LA twice in the past few years and it doesn't work the whole way. I know the East Coast guys, their Wi-Fi works with Amtrak.
Yeah, you know, that's sometimes that could be a feature and not a bug, right? You know, when you want to get lost. I will say we do have, right, investments in new trains coming. So the Amtrak Cascades, which doesn't come to Leavenworth, but it is in the Cascade corridor, will be receiving the first set of brand new trains off the assembly line that were funded through the bipartisan infrastructure bill. They'll have a brand new set of Wi-Fi on there. And then we are currently in the process of trying to finalize the procurement on a new long distance fleet, which again will have better Wi-Fi on it. Useful. Yeah. It's helpful to keep in mind that equipment is we're currently operating is pretty old. It was built well before Wi-Fi was invented, and so we've adopted to do the best we can with it. But it operates on cell service, so when you're in the mountains,
that's great. New trains.
Yeah.
Any other questions? So what's the council want us to come back with? Just a resolution of support rather than.
This platform is so amazing for us. It's easy for us to make this resolution, right? I mean, I think it's important for us to support this. It doesn't, I mean, it seems we should do it, I think.
Yeah, just a nice touch. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Chase, are you available to help coordinate language on this so that it's helpful to you?
Absolutely. Happy to help.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks.
That'd be great.
I'll reach out to you, Chase. I believe you have a draft. I can get you a Word version if you want to start redlining that.
Amazing. Sounds great. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for your time. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for reaching out.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And my sincere apologies for not thinking of reaching out to you when Mark Meyer reached out to me about this.
No worries. It's all good. It's great.
Much
Thank you all.
appreciated.
Thank you.
All right. Our next item, the Housing Advisory Committee is going to do a presentation on what they would like to move forward with and get gathering ideas from our community on housing. And then we also want to hear from staff about the CHIP program. So, and I believe we have someone from that, right? BJ? Okay, we've got 20 minutes. So how much time do you want to present versus?
This is 5 minutes and
then get for questions, okay?
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and members of the public, both in person and online. My name is BJ Robinson. I was appointed to the Housing Advisory Committee by the mayor, confirmed by this council on May 27th. Even though I officially joined last month, I've been closely following the committee's work throughout the year. Tonight, I'm here to speak not just as a member, but as someone that's deeply engaged in the direction we're moving together. Let me focus on 2 items that represent where we're headed. Build It Together, our new community source housing idea pipeline, and CHIP, the Connected Housing to Infrastructure program. These don't overlap, but together they help us move from ideas to action. from identifying needs to delivering real solutions. You'll find both in your packets, in tab E. Both were discussed at our June 25th meeting where Councilmember Reiser and Bedard joined us. Their insight helped shape what I'm bringing to you tonight. I submitted my full remarks for you into the record. For now, I want to focus on momentum, urgency, and our shared ability to turn alignment into results. The Housing Advisory Committee is shifting its posture from reactive support to proactive problem solving. Earlier this year, when Upper Valley Men brought forward a sewer line issue and fee-related barriers, the committee stepped in and helped resolve it. That was a turning point. It showed when we respond quickly and work together so we can unlock stuck projects and remove roadblocks. Now we're broadening that approach. Build Together is one of those tools we're using to search new ideas. Early enough to shape, support, and strengthen them before they reach the current stage. An effort kicked off tomorrow with the public launch of Build Together, an open invitation to share ideas early and help grow concepts that might otherwise get lost in the system. This isn't a grant program. There's no direct funding yet, and we're not looking for shovel-ready projects. What we're looking for is early thinking. Format is simple, just 2 pages. What's the idea? Who does it serve, especially in the 50 to 80% AMI? What support helps it move forward? That AMI range covers households earning between $39,000 and $62,400. That's our grocery, our teachers, our grocery workers, city and essential city staff and essential workers. These are the people we count on every day, and more, they can't afford to live here. Build Together creates a pipeline, not of finalized projects, but of promising ideas that deserve attention and guidance. We're asking council to join us, promote it, amplify it, help build it together. And of course, great ideas still need the resources to move from concept to construction, and that's where CHIP comes in. The Connected Housing to Infrastructure Program, or CHIP, is a new opportunity for Lebanon. Funded through the 2025-2027 Washington State capital budget, CHIP includes 20 million regional carve-out for Chelan, Douglas, and Okanagan counties, thanks to leadership of Representative Mike Steele. CHIP focuses on one of the biggest barriers to housing development, infrastructure costs. The pipes, roads, and systems that often make or break a project before it starts. To be eligible, cities need the adoption of a housing sales tax. We've done that. Ordinance 1627 passed in 2021. We also need a system development charge waiver ordinance for income restricted units, which we don't have yet. Without that ordinance, we're not eligible to apply for CHIP funds. It's that simple. So tonight, we respectfully ask, please direct staff to begin drafting that ordinance. The Department of Commerce has sample language. Other cities like Bellingham have already done it. We're not starting from scratch. Let's make sure Leavenworth is ready to compete for this funding. According to the 2025 housing appendix, Leavenworth's greatest housing shortfall is in the 50 to 80% AMI range. Again, households earning between $39,000 and $62,400. These are people with stable jobs, community roots, and the desire to stay in the town where they serve. They power our economy. They teach our children. They staff our businesses. They keep our city running. When they can't live here, we don't just lose neighbors, we lose stability in our schools, our services, and our economy. Build Together opens the door to new solutions. CHIP helps build a path to make them real. Together, they close the loop between vision and delivery. So on behalf of the Housing Advisory Committee, I respectfully ask this council to promote, amplify, and partner and build it together. 2, direct staff to draft a system development charge waiver ordinance to ensure CHIP eligibility. And also attend the July 10th CHIP training. I am signed up for it, and I know that Maggie is as well. My full remarks are on the record. Thank you for your time, your partnership, and your public service. If we do this right, we don't just approve programs, we unlock possibility. That's the kind of leadership that Leavenworth is ready for. Happy to answer any questions. To the best of my ability.
So that's the only piece that's missing to unlock some of those funds.
No, but it's pieces.
And I think that's something we talked about at the meeting is how affordable housing is a national issue. It's a discussion topic, but it's a local problem for every locality. And so how all the pieces that we need, we don't know what they are. No one's figured it out.
So let me rephrase, sorry.
Yeah.
To unlock the opportunity to reach into the $20 million that's been earmarked.
Yes.
That's the only,
Ordinance, what we need right now.
that's
yes.
the only piece that will allow us to start.
Yes, Tom Lynn and Matt. what's his name? Melton, they brought this to the council and they kind of said, hey, this is what we need, but we found out it has to be something that the municipality directs instead. And we apply for the grant, and what they do is we basically waive the charge for them, and then we get funded back through that.
Yeah.
The city is. And that's just an ordinance, it's quick language, and go through that process, and I think the July,
16th is when it opened.
when it opens.
For all CHIP for the entire state. It's
Yeah.
not just this pilot project that Steele has. And the pilot project actually, what makes it unique isn't just that it's for our the three counties, but that it expands what CHIP can be used for. That 50 to 80% was traditionally the max that you could use CHIP for. And it was for rental. It wasn't for ownership. Mike Steele has asked for these dollars that would go to 100% of AMI and include home ownership. And that's why we're talking to Matt Melton and Tom Lynn, because that's a cottage project, which would be a home ownership project. So that's the piece that's different than the normal CHIP. So it does get us into the workforce housing, and it does get us into some home ownership opportunities without us providing any of the funding. It would be through the grant process.
So BJ, the city needs to do exactly what does the city need to do?
The system development charge waiver. For it. That's it. Because then when the application gets submitted, it says that that's been done. And like I said, the sales tax, the tax one is already been done. That was 2021.
I can chime in, I double checked with legal and we can still apply for the CHIP grant funding with just in our application a written intent to adopt. So if we're not quite there yet, but we're working through it, and we provide that language, we can still apply. But we just can't be awarded any funding without having that in place. And so it's not just a straight ordinance, it's actually changing code language too. So with that ordinance comes some code revision, Title 13. So it takes a little bit of staff time to prepare, but and like Jay said, I'm going to the training as well this week. And then if, as soon as the program's open on the 16th, there is that availability to apply, even if we're not quite there with the ordinance and the code language. But it is something that staff is currently.
And again, just to be clear, it's playing with semantics because we do get paid as well as the entire project. So that's the incentive for the developer. It's not just the affordable. 1/4 of them have to be set aside permanently affordable. So that's the 1/4 that will be using the CHIP program will help them to be able to provide those to lower income folk. But the rest of them are market rate. And that they also apply for all the infrastructure. So water, sewer, stormwater, hookup fees, all of that gets covered by a grant. So that's their incentive as a developer is that lowers the cost for them for the whole entire project.
So they get money, like you just said, not just also for the market rate stuff.
They get money for the market rates. This covers the market rate. It covers the entire project, both on-site work and also bringing the infrastructure to the site. So it's not an insignificant amount of
Right.
dollars.
Where do this
It's
program
state,
funded?
it's state.
So I know, so the monies will be depleted or they're renewed, or what's the funding source for that?
It's a capital, it's what the legislature advances in their capital budget. It's been since your first
Started in
year.
2022.
Yeah, it started in 2022, but like I said, it was much more limited.
Yeah.
To, rental projects and, and below 80%. So it's the 50 to 80. This is going both higher and ownership. And it's limited. It's a pilot project. So you got it, Representative Steele got it just for the 3 North Central Washington counties. So we'll be competing for that pile.
For the
of
5
money.
million.
For the 5 million out of the total 20.
Yeah.
And that was with, Chelan, Wenatchee, Winthrop, Twist, other communities within.
And we've got some projects in mind right now.
Well, the one that's coming that we hope that will move quickly is the Tomlin and Matt Melton.
Yeah. Wow, cool. Good
They
stuff.
want they've got that 2 acres that they 26 to 28 with some tweaking. They're not quite sure, but it's around 26 to 28. So we would get 6 or 7 permanently affordable homes out of that without any of our own money.
And they win, we win, yeah.
Yep,
Cool.
it's a win-win.
Is there anything that, Matt Melton and Tomlin have to get also together before we make those?
That's why we're doing the July 10th. Once we do that training into on Thursday, then we'll have all of it. So right now, we just know that, hey, these are the things we can work on right now, and then we'll have that. So then we've had the housing community, we'll discuss it more and we bring them in and make sure.
Okay.
I was in Yakima when this program was announced. We applied for and received funding for 3 projects. They were all 100% AMI, or they're all, 100% affordable at the 80% AMI or less. All 3 were funded, but they're all basically almost permitted at that time. So I'm not sure what the requirements are now. It's been 3.5, 4 years since I looked into that program, when I was in Yakima. But we need to know what the costs are. So that means they need to be fairly well, into their design. And I'm not sure how far these guys are yet.
Now the project needs to be getting construction within 24 months.
Yes,
Not
right.
award.
So the award, certainly they want to see that there's a viable project before they award it. So
Right.
that's what you're saying. It's got to be developed enough to get to there.
Yep.
But it's interesting because if you have a project that's permit ready or in permit, they're planning on moving forward without this anyways. So it's kind of like, it's not really incentivizing them necessarily to do the project. So it's kind of an interesting timing there.
It was, again, I was new to Yakima and I was only there for 6 months. The program was new and we just happened to have projects that were already under works through Catholic Charities, the Housing Authority, and Orthodox Rural Farm Worker Housing. And we were ready to pounce. But you're right, those projects were happening anyway, but they made them far more affordable for those nonprofit developers.
And then they can have more money to go towards other projects.
Yeah, so.
And actually, with the request for ideas, is we talked about, how we skip those in the pipeline, now we know, hey, you have to be at this point, this is when this grant always opens up. Be ready at this, and we can kind of give, so it's not just a one-time thing. That will be that in our advisory committee consistently, the projects coming in.
Are there specific language requirements for the criteria that we enact a sales and use tax for affordable housing in order to be eligible?
No, it was already that.
Do we have all of that in place already?
We've been putting that money away. We haven't been able to spend it because we don't have any projects under the 80%.
Okay.
Might even be held to the 60% with that funding. It's the lowest threshold.
That's right.
So what's this additional ordinance that we would need?
It's an ordinance to amend our existing code.
We have to have a fee waiver process for our,
Yeah.
Oh, in order for them to be able to use.
to reimburse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
I would talk about, we would specify that it would be funded elsewhere. It's kind of bizarre, but basically we'd be able to waive it as long as it's paid in another capacity. If that makes sense. So be specific to the CHIP program or another similar program.
When you say waive, Andy, what do you mean?
Basically, the system development charge is required to be waived. That's how the requirements that the CHIP program, like the Bellavax W3. So it says that we need to waive those fees, but then they're paid
Oh,
by the CHIP program.
okay.
It's semantics, that's what I said. It's-
So we just need to add language that's specific to the CHIP program.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Well, it seems like a slam dunk to me. I mean, let's get it done.
With the language, CHIP program is the current example of a program like this, but does it make sense to use language that allows for any program that comes along to do it?
Yeah, Yakima has an affordable housing incentive program in their code. That was the ordinance that they adopted in it was either late 2022 or early 2023 in order to be eligible for the CHIP money. So I found that, I found their existing code, have already forwarded it to Maggie.
Move broad.
But Andy and I have already been talking about it and working through it, so.
Yeah, and again, it's a waiver that isn't a waiver.
Right.
Yeah,
I was like, what?
Waiver is confusing, but.
Yeah,
That's
the
what
word
it's
waiver
for.
is what they require us to pass, right? But then it gets paid.
Good. Well, I personally, think it's great, and the rest of the council agrees, I think we should move forward with the system belt card waiver ordinance.
Yep.
SDC waiver.
Let's.
BJ, thank you.
Thank you, Jay.
Alright. The next is America 250 discussion.
Thank you, Mayor. So on June 11th, Lorraine Ralston from the Washington State Historical Society met with the mayor and the management team about the 2026 celebrations of the 250th anniversary of the founding of the nation. This time is for council to consider, to learn about the initiative. Materials are in your packet. I'm not going to give you a presentation. And discuss whether the city should join their partnership program. I'll add to say that before Lorraine came and spoke to us, Mike Warden from Rotary reached out expressing interest in doing something in association with the 250th anniversary. I asked him to join tonight, but I don't see that he's here. It would be my preference that we let someone like Rotary take the lead and that we play a supporting role rather than us being out there. I have also reached out to the Chamber of Commerce. I put this in your weekly update on Friday. They typically don't do anything for 4th of July. This year, I think it might have been one of the first years they've done anything, but I didn't go down and look at it, but apparently they decorated the gazebo and they were playing, patriotic instrumental music throughout the day. I asked Ernest if they would like to do something more for the 250th, then he said they're not. So if the council is interested in the city cooperating in some way, shape, or form, then we need to join as a partner. I didn't want to do that without having you guys discuss the merits of this program.
When I saw this red packet, it's great. I think I would love to support it. My concern is just how taxed, our staff is already. And, just taking on every great idea, just because it's a great idea without any plan to actually fulfill that role is my biggest concern. So I agree with you that if Rotary wants to take the lead on it, and I don't know what partnership would look like, but if it's something that we can do reasonably, then I'm all for celebrating our 250th anniversary with caveats.
Yeah,
I had a very similar takeaway.
yeah, and I think Lorraine, I went into our meeting with her with that exact thing. I mean, it's just like one more, okay, what are we gonna be able to realistically do? And she was helpful for me because she basically said, you guys, it's not creating something new. It's putting a messaging around what you guys are already doing. I mean, you guys got stuff going all the time. So you put it in that, you add a little theme to that, So that seemed to make sense and not, look as burdensome, but especially if somebody like Rotary wants to help with adding those pieces into what's already going, right?
I wondered 77, I don't know, I was 4 years old. I don't quite remember the 200th. But I feel like it was something in the 80s, and there were a lot of signs. And even Arizona, as a state, as one of the newer states, celebrated their 50th, and there was road signs all over the state. Is the state or are there assets that they're going to give cities? You know, Highway 2 is a pretty popular byway, right? That maybe there'll be signs. Do we orchestrate that, or the state orchestrates that? I understand it's their highway, but is this organization, the museum organization, are they the ones that spearhead this? Are they the people?
This
Who's
order,
the people.
it is through the Historical Society. Sorry, I was looking for that piece to read to you in their materials and I'm not finding it at the moment, but yeah, this is being spearheaded by a committee within the Historical Society. There's no funding attached to it.
When I read through that, I didn't know if there was a greater above them, and they're all, so this is local-ish.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody's pulling off
Yeah.
on a shoestring, basically. I mean, nobody's got big dollars to throw at this. It's
Well, I mean, we can
just,
throw a military parade. I mean, there's dollars that a country could throw at. I'm just saying.
just saying.
But we could just, something as simple as have the America 250 logo on the autumn leaf float or something along those lines.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like there could be a lot of really great partnerships within our community to kind of lift this up. On the page where it talks about commemorative periods, there's the Day of Service, which is about organizing service projects. I feel like that's really great. That could be a great opportunity, not just for Rotary, but for Lions Club, for all the service organizations within our community. I feel like just focusing on Rotary might be a little bit narrow. Give all of the service clubs an opportunity to be a partner, and they could all organize their own service projects on that day and bring the community together to engage in these service projects within our community. That could be really cool. The museum day, our local museum. I'm sure they'd love to do something that focuses on Washington's Museum Day. Those sorts of things, civic engagement, you know, we could figure out how to encourage people to be more civically involved in various different things, voter registration. You know, they've got a couple of different things highlighted here, but it seems like there's a lot of really great opportunities that isn't too heavy of a lift for just one particular group of people.
But that's for her to go to meet with those organizations, is what you're saying.
Well, and the
It's not for us,
Yeah.
it's not for us to go to them, it's for her, you're pointing out the obvious.
Partner with them so that it's not just one, like, it's not just the city's responsibility.
Right.
So what, the first step is to decide, do we want to join them? Because that's what they're looking for is, and it's not asking for any specific commitment, but then City of Leavenworth will be on their materials that they put out. It will be, we would be included in, I mean, it's as simple as that.
We're open to the opportunities. If she says, hey, can we put your logo in the Autumn Leaf Festival? We'll look at it, right? Present us with the opportunities. We'd love every opportunity. Come to us, right? And that's what she's done. And I think that's the message is present the opportunities, right?
I guess, yeah, the same thing, is just as long as they understand there's a limit.
Yeah.
Is the caveat with this, so.
Like you're saying, there's no specific commitment. We join and then it's kind of like, we could be a kind of a dud partner to them, or we can step up and if it's like, if those wings here, then we can be a shiny.
I mean, we're gonna get whatever publicity they do is gonna share our name as being one,
Correct.
so we'll want to do something so that we don't embarrass ourselves, right? By saying, yeah, we signed up, but you never know. You never know. Yeah. But looking for those, like Ann was saying, there's plenty of groups and places and things to add a little piece here and a little piece there and get them to do, pick up enough pieces that we could be respectable in our commitment. So,
I've got an idea to add something rather than taking a half an hour break.
okay, shall we go ahead though and join the group?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, and then Sylvie's gonna add some.
Oh, there's mine.
He is.
He's right on time, but we were running ahead of the agenda.
So, We already volunteered you for everything.
Thank you for agreeing to run with the whole America 250. We much appreciate your service. There's another topic I'd like to see if the council would like us to bring this to you for a study session in the future. The mayor and I were contacted by Jacob from AWC last week, and it's about House Bill 1515 that was adopted this legislative session, which allows municipalities to create basically a small open container area within their jurisdiction. This is something that I first encountered when I went to the ICMA conference in Columbus, Ohio in 2022. They had a designated outdoor refreshment area where it was this couple of blocks long, all these bars and restaurants. There's multiple sporting avenues. And if you bought a beer from one place and it was in the Adora cup, you could walk down the street to the next place. I mentioned that at that time, so I found out about that to the downtown steering committee, and there was strong opposition to the idea of having open container downtown Leavenworth. So we had folks reaching out to us when this was going through the legislative session, asking us to speak in support of the bill, and I said, heck no. I'm not speaking in support of this bill. I don't know that we have council support for this bill. But now we're being asked by AWC, hey, we think Leavenworth is perfect for this new bill. What do you think? So I would just like a straw man poll. Is this even worth having a discussion about?
You'd say
I'm open
yes.
to discussing anything. So. What was the big opposition with the downtown steering committee?
Don't want a huge focus on alcohol.
Yeah. We already do.
Right.
Right.
We
So
definitely
are
already do
we
with
focusing on it
30
if
plus
we
winery
allow
tasting room.
migration?
But what's the benefit? What's the net benefit for us? More drunk people?
Yeah.
We're talking about briefly, right? Before we.
Yeah, we've got that 20 minutes.
We got time.
More drunk people, potentially more violence,
I wouldn't
right?
say, I wouldn't say more, but just,
Well, if you're free to, I don't know, I'd like to see studies on that, and maybe Vegas is a good example. Maybe people don't get as drunk when you can walk around.
Yeah, they're not drunk down in New Orleans, are they?
In New Orleans, yeah. I thought it was I thought when I first moved here, it made sense to do that during Oktoberfest, the whole front street. You know, block it off where you've got people guarding, people, underage people kind of pouring in, but. And I think I maybe mentioned to you, and you're like, no, I don't. I like to drink and I like to go to those events, and I go to Vegas and I love New Orleans, but I don't know if we should bring it here. I think that's a stretch. I think we're talking about even limiting alcohol on the river, limiting alcohol more, not promoting more alcohol.
I don't really see this as promoting alcohol per se. It's just.
Modernizing the regulations of alcohol.
Well, mostly I think it's just, I think of like, oh, we wanna walk over there. Well, I gotta finish my glass of wine first, or something like that. Instead, now you can say, yeah, let me put it in the cup and then I can go with you. And I don't know, I mean, is that promoting drinking? Does it mean like I'm gonna get another one and take it with me? Maybe for some people. I can see maybe potentially, not regulating the consumption of minors. So somebody could bring some out with them and then share it a little more easily without the bartender or somebody watching them.
What cities do this?
Well, Vegas does.
New Orleans.
One,
Orleans.
two,
Yeah.
modernizing,
Yeah.
there's
State of
in the country that
Louisiana
allow this.
has been doing this for a really long time.
Decades, I get
Yeah.
it, so I just thought,
What's the context? This whole thing is like during a particular holiday?
This was actually started in the legislature because of FIFA World Cup coming, and it was Seattle that was driving this to begin with. So that they could have the.
Oh, this is modernizing soccer tournament.
it's like the Olympics when they come to
Taking
Utah.
advantage of
Change the
the
law.
soccer thing, but then it expanded though, going through the legislative process, it grew beyond that. So, and that's where.
So it's
it
more
ended
about,
up
so it's more
where
about
anybody.
the
can-
financial positive impacts of being able to
That's
sell
what it's-
alcohol in
that's what-
more places.
That's what it started, and that's actually when I was approached to support it. It was when it was still in that stage. I got contacted by colleagues from AWC that are from Seattle and that, and we're really trying to push this to help them. But like I said, it morphed from that into why limit it to there, why limit it to the FIFA World Cup, why,
So then anything like every weekend or something? Like, I just,
I mean, we would make the,
Just being.
we determine that?
yeah, we would
frequency?
determine
The
that.
law would allow us to do it, probably give us some flexibility to do.
right, you could define the area,
Right.
you could define it.
When,
Yeah.
right?
Back
Yeah,
to the
you
net
can put
benefit
your own
and
parameters.
sustainable tourism. Are we looking for more tourists to come and drink here?
No,
And what's the net benefit to the community to allowing this?
Well,
I'm trying to figure out what's the
we
benefit.
just, the irony of us just downsizing our Oktoberfest, if you would.
right,
Right.
To try to get a better handle on it. And that was very much, I think, appreciated by the community.
there was.
But I don't know that, but I mean, I'm kind of new to a lot
I'm
of this
curious
stuff.
on what impact this would have on like businesses, like. I wouldn't want as a business, like, people bringing alcohol from
Alcohol
other
into the
businesses over
business.
to my establishment, you know, like.
Well, they can always say no.
Yeah,
They
Yeah, I
can
think
always
already
say
you
no.
can't bring your own
Right.
beverages into somebody else's restaurant. I think
But
that's.
if you've got the
Yeah, but
Oktoberfest cup though, you can
yeah,
get it filled up and you can fill that up at any bar. That's the idea.
But this open container would allow.
You have
you
to have
know,
a certain
free
cup, and they do that at Sturgis. You can't step into the street unless you've got their cup that you bought at their official stand, and so the chamber would sell these cups, right, at a premium, and when you would, and that's one of the ideas, right? And they're very hardcore. If you step over this curb, the police will take you and they'll
Right, right.
find you in Sturgis, but
It's the same in New Orleans. You can't bring your street beer into the restaurant
Oh.
for dinner. You have to finish it and throw it in the receptacle, that sort of thing.
It's a street thing, not a
Okay,
anywhere thing.
right.
It's an open area of the street or street/park, whatever we would define it to be, but yeah.
I mean, I see people walking around with alcoholic drinks, you know.
Yeah, that if they're bringing their own, that.
Yeah.
And
I don't see a real advantage of doing it. I
Yeah.
just don't see what it's gonna bring us. We're in the sense of had some success in downsizing Oktoberfest, which I think's been successful and appreciated. I think this sort of flies in the face of that. I think there's lots to do in this town, pretty amazing things to do in this town, without adding more drinking contingent to it, really. I mean, that's my take.
I agree with Zeke.
I have a concern and then maybe one possible advantage, but my concern is that controlling that zone.
Right.
Now we're moving the control from the restaurants, establishments to like, who's gonna police the borders, right? And we know that's not gonna really
go well.
So that right there might be the one deal breaker for me, but the other thing, I do feel like sometimes, not that like getting a glue vine at, during the holidays is like, you gotta do it, but if I wanna go get a glass of glue vine and go out and watch my kids sled, or, just participate, it kind of feels silly sometimes being a corral. I mean, you gotta go be in a corral, and you gotta stay there, your kids can't come in, and you can't go out. And that right there is pretty lame. And solving that one problem, is kind of nice. Now, problem is a very loose term there, but it's.
you know who capitalizes on that? Ask Kayla about the dad beer. You guys know about the dad beer? It's a known thing. Bushel and B, they'll come in, the dad will buy a beer, close out, he'll chug the beer standing up while they're at the taffy store and they're running around like the building at the toy store.
So we're
It's a known
promoting,
thing.
we're promoting like,
Binge drinking
Binge
is dads, yeah, because he can't walk around.
This will not promote binge drinking.
Yeah, you gotta go back into a restaurant and go get another beer, or whatever.
I'm not hearing more than 4 voices that support this idea. So thank you. We won't
Yeah.
waste your time with a future study session, and I'll get back to Jacob and say thanks, but no thanks.
Okay.
I hope the Facebook people are here to post and say, yeah.
Did the right thing, the council.
Speaking of that, I have a council update suggestion, maybe. We talked a few weeks ago about frequently asked questions.
Yeah, I printed out on my desk. I haven't gotten to it yet.
Okay, I want to just mention to the council what I thought is, and it kind of goes back to whether you should comment on Facebook posts, and kind of the risks of that, and the misinformation that spreads prolifically on social media, and also my professional experience in the past when I was in the fire department. If the chief came up with like some directive or mandate, things like that city administration does, if there wasn't a why component, or how do we get to this point, everybody would fill in the gaps with their own information. And that's what happens right now. If anything that we do or the city does, people pick up on it and then it runs with legs. And without an easy way to steer people towards the information, what I call frequently asked questions, it's a page that basically can put on like, what is my water bill going to be this year? If it was this last year, we talked about that recently. Why in the world are we not fixing our roads? That's one of the, the classic ones. Is the parking a money grab by the city? Where's all the money going? They made $3 million, whatever. These are things that instead of engaging in some maybe fruitless debate online, we could be able to steer people towards,
Post the data.
frequently asked question right here.
Website.
It's on the city website. It can be updated with virtually anything and maintained maybe fairly easily. And so I suggested that. And I don't know if you guys think that's a good idea, but I think information is great and communication is great. And if we can provide the answers to people and just send them to that one spot and make that a resource that people will go to, I would love to see that be developed a little bit more.
So one of the things that ties into this, that I was just at an AWC conference, missed the last meeting because of it, but 2 different sessions and one of them was all about using frequently asked questions, but rather than listing and trying to get them, it's all AI driven. You make your certain files that you have available, and AI will find that data. So they just type in their question. What do you want to know? It was pretty amazing.
Onto the Google or onto our website? Onto the search on the website?
You have a spot on your website.
Yeah.
and it's, again, run
Yeah.
by AI. But what we don't have, and this is the thing also, is we don't have any policies around AI. And that's what we need to get in place, because it's happening, folks.
I also think it would need to be beta tested for accuracy before you drop it on a website. So I like Mike's idea as a starting point.
Yeah,
About a month or so ago, maybe not quite that long, in one of my weekly updates, I did present the idea of an FAQ. That was after we talked about this at Ski Hill.
Yep.
And Mike did reply to me with about 5 questions. And again, they're printed out, they're right there next to my desk. I will get to them. But he was the only one of the council members who did submit questions that they're hearing from the community. They would like to see included in an FAQ. So if there are any other topics, shoot my way.
Parking.
We'll add to the list. Yeah.
Parking, Osborne.
Yeah, those are already.
Selby, do you know, since Kara started, how many questions does she field like daily, like through either social media, email? Do you know that?
I don't want to guess. I can say when there was a gap between communications people, I was fielding dozen a week.
Dozen a week.
And that takes takes some effort anyways, time.
Right.
And
Yeah.
if we put a little effort in up front, we might be able to, might pay off dividends down as we go forward.
I would probably not show up at meetings if I didn't get her Sunday. I plan my schedule for.
Here I say meeting Thursday. I didn't have that on my calendar. Thanks, Kara. I did, I save it as unread until like the meetings.
Still unread. I love it. She's doing an amazing
It was
job.
amazing.
We're concerned that they're getting so long, that people might be losing interest before they find the end of it.
There's usually some good nuggets at the bottom.
There's some, there's some really good stuff, and it is our #1 engagement vehicle. I was saying this at the Brownfields conference when we were asking about community engagement. We have over 50%
Open road.
not just open rate. We have over 50% open rate, and I can't remember what it was. It's been months since we talked about this, but our click-through rate, standard average or industry average for constant contact, I think is around 3% click-through, and we were over 25% click-through.
Well,
So that means that people really do want to read more about what they're getting. So it's not just spam.
right.
Yeah. When you say click through, is that like hits on the website or something?
Yes, no, so if it comes into your, if it comes into your email box and you just delete it, that's gonna be unopened.
Okay,
If you open it and read it, it's gonna be open. If you click one of the links, that's the click through.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I have another suggestion for a future agenda item.
Yep.
For our study session, a discussion of historical trees in our community. And trying to protect the last few that are in our neighborhoods before they all get cut down. There was a really great pine tree that was just cut down in my neighborhood, and it made me think about it this last week. It was probably 150 years old. It was really tall and beautiful and perfectly healthy. And I know it's being cut down for development, but I think it would be really great to have maybe some preservation criteria and some options for, getting people to think about potentially designing around some good, healthy historical trees.
Like that.
Thoughts?
I feel, what does that mean? I mean, if a tree is deemed historical, then
Then they would potentially need to meet certain criteria in order to be able to cut it down. Otherwise, they need to design around it.
I think it's definitely worth looking at. I think that at least there's some guidelines for them, so it doesn't just happen automatically, that maybe there's some consideration.
Are you talking about trees on private property?
Yes.
Cause I have models for scenic roads, scenic trees, street trees. I don't know anything about preserving trees on private property.
We started the Heritage Tree Program about a decade ago, so it's the intent of protecting some of the ones down on Front Street. But yeah, we never talked about private property and
Are there cities, there must be cities that do that.
Tree City USA.
Right, I mean, it's, they deal with private property issues and what they.
There's
how
quite
to
a
make
few
it
tree
considered.
cities in Chelan County.
We look at that too. There's a lot of process involved in becoming and maintaining your tree city status.
I mean, I would entertain it.
Worth looking into?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Andrew's got it. Always wary, subject to tell people what they can and can't do with their property.
Arizona and the swirl, it's a state thing, but you can't just kill a swirl with a
Right.
swirl. It's protected. Same, Washington needs to protect fir trees, but.
All right, any other quick suggestions before we take a break? All right, let's take a break.
so great.
How do you say javelina? Javelina.
The Leavenworth City Council meeting for July 8th is called to order. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. Shane, why don't you start?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, roll call.
Sharon Waters.
Clint Strand.
Ann Hesberg.
Zeke Reister,
Shane Thayer?
Travis McMaster.
Mike Bedard.
Everybody's here. Yay. Consent agenda, I've got one thing that we need to amend, and that is item number 6 is gonna move to the bottom, and it's gonna just be information item, not an action item. So I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended.
I move to approve the consent agenda as amended.
By Shane, seconded by Aaron. All in favor, let me see your hands. Passes unanimously. Okay, before we go into comments and action items, I just remind everybody that we're here, we're respectful of each other. We acknowledge it's okay if we disagree. Prior to making comments, you must be recognized by the chair. Please address the council as a whole and not individuals. And keep your comments focused on a topic that's being discussed unless you're speaking on items not on the agenda. And with that, we will move to items not on the agenda. If anybody wants to make comments, and I think we might have somebody. Kelly, do you want to come up and give us your name and address and your comments?
Name and address and comments?
Yes.
My name is Callie Osborne. I live at 14040 Chelsea Highway, but I represent the farmer's market today. Some visual aids. I'll pass a couple this way. Probably a bit. No need to linger on them, just so you know what I'm talking about. I just want to give you guys like a 2-minute how's the market going. We're 6 markets in to our 20, so we have 14 to go, a little over a quarter of the way through the season. We did have a slow start to the year in the markets. Sounds like from talking to some other folks in like retail and lodging, that was not an uncommon experience for early June this year. So I assume that whatever it's holding up was just the same for us. But we have had sales kind of back up to last year's standard or like close to or matching last year's for the past few weeks. So we have kept $54,784 in our local economy so far this year, in the quarter of the season. The new layout that we've got is working great. The parking lot flow seems to be working really well. I think everybody's happy with the changes. We did do 2 dot surveys, which is what an example is what I passed around. It's a photo of what we're doing out there once a month this year. Our dot surveys aren't the exact same questions every month, but we are doing lodging tax questions every time. So we'll change the other questions. But we've done 2. The first one was on opening day. We had about 270 people respond to that. The page you're seeing is from opening day. There's only one of the pages. We had to flip the page for all the questions. So that is not all of the data reflected, not all 270 people. The second round was on June 14th, and we had 190 participants in our survey that time. Everyone's just voluntarily decided to participate. People love putting dots on paper. Highly recommend it if you need to survey anyone. And so it's been going really well. What we've learned so far, and what has been very consistent between these 2 days of survey, is that 35 to 40% of our respondents say that they live within 5 miles of the market, which is unsurprising, thinking that. But we were surprised a little bit to find out that about 55% of respondents live more than 50 miles away. And that was consistent on both market days. And with that includes 18% who said they live outside of Washington. And that was consistent, so samples. And then you also probably won't be surprised that about 45% come to support local or buy local products. That's kind of their answers are around local support. And 30% come for the atmosphere / music / it looked fun.
Bye.
The vibe, yes.
Good vibes only.
The next survey we're doing is on July 26th, and we'll do one in every calendar month this year. The market's open. And then I just wanted to let you guys know that our farm to table fundraiser is happening again this year, as usual. It is on August 22nd, which is a Friday this year. And tickets are on sale now, so that's what we got. Well, if anyone has any questions,
Do you have any questions of Callie?
Thank you.
No, Kelly.
Thanks, Kelly.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, then I assume that there's nobody else that wants to get up and speak on, but Ron, no, okay. But do we have anybody on line?
We have 2 attendees, no hands raised.
No hands raised. Then we're ready to move into our resolutions, ordinances, orders, and other business. Our first is the quarterly budget amendment. Chantel.
Thank you, Mayor Ford. It was a very small budget amendment, council. There hasn't been a whole lot of changes this quarter, so that's good. I was looking at it and I realized that I did not give you any notes on the first three items in the street fund. Just to point out, those three are all revenues and those are grants. So those are increased revenues to the street fund. Are there any questions?
Questions? Wow. Everybody entertain a motion.
Leavenworth City Council moves to adopt ordinance 1712 quarterly budget amendment.
Second.
Moved by Zeke, seconded by Shane. Any other? Seeing none, all those in favor, let me see your hands. Passes unanimously. All right, so we'll skip over 6 for now and go to our professional services agreement on place, landscape, architecture, the cemetery expansion, Andy. Or? You're up.
Sorry, I went too fast.
I know.
There wasn't any items there.
We're doing the cemetery. Perfect. So this is a professional services agreement with place, the supplemental agreement number 1 to have them design improvements out of the cemetery. As I remember, we talked about this in April at the study session and ultimately picked things off of these building study they did. But now we incorporated design with the goal. Well, now that it's already July, the goal of having those replies start selling some of their no lots. Ideally this year, if not next year. Any questions?
Questions? Would entertain a motion then.
Leavenworth City Council moves to approve and authorize the mayor to execute supplemental agreement number 1 with Place Landscape Architecture LLC for the cemetery expansion project, increasing the not to exceed amount to $47,100.
Second.
Moved by Mike, seconded by Shane. Any other? Nope. All those in favor, let me see your hand. And it passes unanimously. Okay, and then Andy, you want to give us an update on or talk about the franchise agreement because you didn't want to rush into passing it, right? No, just,
No, we want to pass it. Well, yeah, since we're pulling this off, I did just want to take an opportunity to talk about it and explain why it's taking so long. So the draft was provided to you in the packet, but it was also provided to the county for comments. They have not come back with more comments, so we're just working back and forth with them. Really, the reason that I've been pushing this and keep putting on the agenda was because it was holding up the permitting process for the transmission. They did go ahead and, because they know that we're working on this, they did give us the permit for that project, so we can continue negotiating some of the specific components in the franchise agreement. So this won't be back on your agenda until we actually have a finalized agreement now. Because we did get that permit. Stop trying to push it like we have been. So thanks for your patience, and you probably read this right away. And I still have it saved. Perfect. Any questions on the franchise agreement? We're looking at them.
And is there, just curious. Is there some kind of hang up or questions they have about this MOU?
Some of the bigger items that we're looking at right now is the requirements for us to relocate our utilities if they have a project. So we did want to add in specific language, how it was originally written was just, at the determination of the county engineer, we would be required to move our utilities if it interfered with the project. Obviously, that's a really big deal and it's not detailed. So that's some of the specific language that we've been negotiating back and forth on what should be their responsibility versus ours and how we would detail what that looks like versus just say if determined by the county engineer. So that's kind of the biggest piece that we're working on.
In case they have utilities they want put in later, would be in some kind of conflict with what we're doing?
Yeah, like for example, if like water mains, our water mains run well outside the UGA. So if they were doing a road project where they were regrading the road and they were lowering it and now our utilities interfering. Obviously that would be a situation which would be our responsibility, but we want clear language as to what would fall under the category that we would need to relocate for that versus what would fall.
Okay.
So
Some
we,
kind
like,
of
for
clarification.
example, in our right of way, we have a franchise agreement for Chelan County, and it's really clearly defined. Like, if it's on the capital improvement project list, and I don't remember the other requirements off the top of my head, but if it's shown that way, then it is the requirement of the PUD to move. So we're looking at similar language. In our franchise agreement.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, any other questions? So you'll see it, but it may be a while. All right, council report, Sharon.
Wow,
Wow.
they're already.
You haven't finished writing it yet?
No, I
The meeting went quick.
did. Okay, on June 25th, I attended the DBR meeting. On the 26th, the parking advisory meeting, which was extremely interesting. And on the 1st of July, mosquito board, we interviewed 3 folks that are hoping to land a job or 1 or 2 spots. And on the 2nd, I went to the Planning Commission Council joint meeting on the July 3rd. Mosquito board, we interviewed another person. On the 7th, the pool opened yesterday. And also I had a mosquito board meeting in the evening, and today study session, council meeting, and the pool is running greatly. Everybody's so happy.
Yeah, right. See, that's the key, is you just build up that, yeah.
No.
And
We need to do this every year.
No.
I heard a couple of folks today, because they could buy a pass today.
Yes,
And I'm very appreciative of the discount.
discount.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. Right. And
Anne's not done writing her report.
The parking advisory committee met a week later than usual. This last month, we had, as Sharon briefly mentioned, a very robust conversation, particularly around a discussion regarding some sort of residential parking opportunities, be it a pass or a specific time period or certain day with a time period, that sort of thing. So we had a lot of community members in attendance, which was really great to see, and some really great ideas that came from the committee as well as the community with regard to opportunities for residents. And the committee has a lot of work to do to kind of figure it all out, because we need to make sure that we don't create additional parking issues by instilling something for residents similar to what we have been trying to accomplish over the last couple of years. So, and I guess what I mean by that is, we don't want to put something in place that encourages employees to park downtown and take up all the stalls again, because that was one of our major issues, major parking issues for quite some time downtown. So finding a good balance, a benefit for residents and something that works for the city and the community in different ways as well. So it was a good conversation, and I look forward to more of those conversations. Other than that, the rest of my meetings are in the second half of the month. So.
Okay, so I also attended the joint Planning Commission Council meeting, which was a good discussion of issues and what we're trying to get done, and so worthwhile. Kind of got, I think the council communicated pretty clearly that Planning Commission, they got their questions answered about what we were up to and what we wanted them to do. Really valuable. And then I sat down with Mike, fellow council member, just to talk about the House bill that mandates 2 ADUs and good clarification on, traffic, fire, portability. Really appreciate that discussion we had. And then I sat down today with Carl, talked about a future possibility of using lodging tax, and also kind trying to get some clarification on how the chips work, which I kind of got that, but there's another possible funding potential thing that's might be coming up with lodging tax. And so met with Carl on that, and that's the end of my report.
Shane.
I don't have much to report. I'm bummed that I missed the ribbon cutting of the Front Street restroom.
Oh, that's right. It was
Uh,
Me
It
too.
was too.
Last week I got sidetracked with work. I was also at the Joint Planning Commission meeting last week, and as you said, I thought it was a really good meeting. I thought we accomplished a lot and gave good direction to Planning Commission. And I will be at the PRSA meeting on Thursday. That's my report.
Great. Ellis.
I was at the ribbon cutting for the bathrooms. It was really cool to, like, super modern. Like, they look so good.
Yeah, they do.
They look really, they're super clean.
Listen,
Exactly.
check them out today.
When you buy a brand new car, the next day, it will never be as clean as it is the day you roll off the lot.
Yeah.
It was cool. It was really cool ceremony. It was really, really nice event. It was good to see Deacon and everybody out there. And then I did also attend the parking advisory committee meeting. I think you're using, it's a funny thing in this city, using the word residents, you see a lot of residents. There was one resident of Leavenworth and everyone else lived in the UGA, which they're our community, they're not residents.
Right.
And so it's an interesting, it just personifies how complex this resident parking is.
Yeah.
And who it benefits, because there weren't a lot of residents there that were vocal about it. It was Leavenworth community.
Lots of folks are from up to Chumstick.
Lots of folks have come say.
Yeah.
So it was great to see the peep, right? It was back to like my Facebook comments going, with the parking on the Leavenworth Facebook page. People showed up and it was lively and it was, I'm glad they showed up. I mean, at times I'm like, oh, I don't know. But it was really great that people showed up. I just want people to show up, right? So that was really special, I thought. And there were a lot of people online, a lot of people in the meeting. It was cool for a community meeting. And then, attended the advisory, the housing advisory committee and Joint Planning Commission and the council. That was great. I think we gave them some great direction. I think it's a really great team that they have anyways. And we've got, they're on a good path. And then, PRSA meeting on Thursday. Good stuff. That's it.
I recycled glass since last meeting, and that felt really good to be able to do that. Apparently, the rest of the city also has been hoarding their glass for the day. So it was full, but that felt really good. And it's nice that that's available again. Housing Advisory Committee on the 26th. And then what's the Front Street restroom opener? It was awesome. Funny story, to those who were there, they opened the whole thing. Everybody could go in and look in all the different restrooms and different gender restrooms and see what it's like. But a couple of enterprising dudes decided they were gonna be the first to christen the men's room. Completely open to everybody. We had a pretty good time. Giving them
Jesse Boyd.
I don't know who was in the stall, but he was.
Jesse Boyd.
Yeah, he was doing
I had in the men's room and I was like, nope.
Also went to the Joint Planning Commission, second, met with Zeke yesterday, as he mentioned. I had a really interesting meeting, brought to my attention that over in San Juan Island County, their conservation corps over there has a youth conservation corps, which is a summer program that really gives the tweeners, your early middle school kids who can't actually get a job yet, but they've lost their interest in summer camp maybe or whatever, but it gives them actually kind of work that has a sort of camp component to it where they get a stipend. So it's not really a job. It's really was intriguing to me. And so I had a Zoom meeting with the director of that group over there in San Juan County, and only telling you because it could be something that down the road, they partner with all kinds of state parks, municipalities to do work in and around trails and things, trash cleanup, whatever, recycling. I hope that I can connect the right people and maybe we get something going on around here and we can bring something to the council at some point down the road.
Get the kids out the icicle.
Yeah, totally. So anyways, that's all I have.
Great. Yeah, just a number of you have mentioned the joint meeting with the planning commission, and I think it was a great positive meeting. And I think one of the things that we came out with was let's get that nexus study going to try to make that connection. But what was intriguing, the reason I wanted to mention it was in the Seattle Times today. I don't know if any of you get it or read it, but prime front page article about Seattle being sued by developers for requiring them to provide affordable housing or fee in lieu because they can't prove the nexus between that and the lack of affordable housing. So it was a good illustration of why that's an important piece to have in our pocket before we move forward.
We don't get sued.
Anyway. The other thing I just wanted to mention, again, I was at AWC and got to present a panel that presented with WSU who did the study on tourism economies and its effects on housing. So they did a study, they presented there, and I was on the panel along with a council member from Port Angeles. And coming out of that, what we hope is to form a coalition of tourism economies to go to the legislature instead of beating that horse as one entity. And it was a great session, had about 60, 70 folks in it, about 22 signups from various communities, some that weren't even part of that study, but consider themselves in that same boat of needing to deal with the housing and all the, in particular, what short-term rentals have done along that line. So, and I mention that because, you know, we have had Blake be our kind of advocate with the legislature, and at this point, we're terminating that contract, and what Blake is going to work at is pulling together this coalition. And so we would rejoin and him with a group instead of just on our own when he pulls this thing together. So it was pretty exciting just to see the turnout and the enthusiasm, I guess, around communities that are also facing this. So maybe will help us get over that hump. And along that line, I'm meeting with one of the representatives, Larry Springer from the east side, from Kirkland area, that was on one of the committees, the finance committee that I testified in front of. He's got a place up at Lake Wenatchee. He's in town. We're going to get together tomorrow, and he wants to talk about how we can help move this forward and what, you know, we've got plans. So, yeah. I'm going to remain my optimistic, hopeful self, but and that's the end of my report. Something.
Thanks, Mayor. Reminder, council, that your next retreat will be on August 26th from 5 to 9. That's going to take place of your normal second council meeting. I've hired a facilitator, Una McGalladon. I've met at a conference, had lunch with, Mayor and I had a Zoom meeting with, so I've hired her to lead us through goal setting. So please mark the calendars, 5 to 9, and Una would like to speak with each of you on the phone prior to our council retreat. So I just want to let you know that I will be reaching out to you by email, making an introduction to Una, and I'll let you guys schedule a time to speak with her in advance of the retreat as she puts together an agenda for us. As Sharon mentioned, the pool opened on Monday. It's going to be running 7 days a week and expanded hours over previous summers that I've been here anyway. It will be open from 9 to 6 on Saturdays, Sundays. I don't know I haven't memorized the schedule, will be changing, and we'll be adding hours, as the summer progresses, and we do hope to keep that pool, operating, as long into September as we can, staff it. The river shuttle started on July 4th. We got a 12-foot trailer for the Wenatchee Valley Shuttle to pull behind their airporter bus that they're bringing around. It's kind of cool to see it. I was the second passenger on July 4th. And I was joined by Rob Ahern from the Leavenworth Hotel. He just happened to be walking up after his first run. He knew about the shuttle because of his participation on the chamber board. And he hopped on the shuttle and we got to do a paddle together that day. That was nice, not have to float alone. On the 4th, the shuttle served 49 passengers. On the 5th, 82 passengers. And on the 6th, 108 passengers. That's 239 passengers for the first weekend compared to 325 for the entire season last year. So the shuttle is, because we have this river rec corps group going, because we're coordinating with the hatchery and the county, because we have a lot of messaging going out, and because of the fish hatchery parking lot closure, the utilization is where we need it to be for this thing to be worth its while. Again, last year we spent about $30,000 on the shuttle and it served 325 passengers. This year the shuttle is costing less, and it's going to be serving a lot more people. So we're very happy with that progress.
It's great. Hopefully,
Nice work,
hopefully
Shelby.
more people start using it and stop parking along East Leavenworth Road.
Well, the messaging starting today is don't float icicle. It's too low to float.
Really low.
It's below 300 CFS, and that is the cutoff point from the hatchery perspective for people to float without impacting the reds, fish, and for tubers to actually be able to float the whole stream. If you try to tube that now, you're going to end up walking and destroying fish habitat. So the messaging now is to skip the icicle, go all the way to Icicle Bridge, and float the Wenatchee instead. Yes, there are parking constraints in that location as well, but as you're well aware, we are trying to resolve that issue with the parking lot. That comment period has closed, and I reached out to the Chelan County Community Development Department today to find out again to find out when a public hearing will be scheduled for that special use permit.
Shelby, I was gonna ask you, is fish actually monitoring that at all as far as folks trying to put in when they're not, we don't want them to, or is they just kind of, they don't
No,
try
I
and
think
do
they
that?
monitor, no.
And the city's not taking any role in that. It's not our property.
Okay,
And
Tell me, does the
anybody
shuttle-
can just get on and ride.
Yep.
Yeah, people can
No,
still,
I mean,
still-
they can get down to the river.
yeah, they can walk through the fish hatchery, it's
And just-
public property.
I mean, back up at the beginning where that you said the fish were, it's too low.
Yeah.
It's the whole icicle.
Yeah.
But who, is there somebody there stopping people?
No.
no,
No, they've never done that.
no.
They just put out the
The
word that
advisory.
it's not floatable,
Right.
but
They're there. They'll-
people
they're-
will, I mean, you see them, they're walking down.
Yeah.
You know?
Toby, does the,
So it is about education. If you see the 832 we have right out here in front of City Hall, it has a map of the river, and it has the shuttle schedule, has suggested flow times. That messaging, there's one of those at the fish hatchery as well. We're gonna have some additional messaging going on that board that says the Icicle Creek is too low to float. Recreate responsibly, use the Wenatchee River, put in an Icicle Bridge.
As much as you can do.
Yeah, Shane?
so does that mean the river shuttle only operates to the Wenatchee Bridge?
The shuttle will
Okay.
no longer be dropping people
Okay.
off at the hatchery.
Thank you.
Did I already touch on the pool? River retreat. Mayor and I will have our first meeting with the county on the 22nd, which is your next council meeting, to talk about the sheriff's contract. And I don't know how much of that will change, or they've already given us basically what they're demanding for their rates, so. The current contract expires the end of the year, so I reached out a couple weeks ago to say, hey, now's the time, good time for us to start talking about it. So if you guys have anything that you would like to see changed in the sheriff's contract, I'd be more than happy to share it with you, have you review it, and let me know if there's anything you want to see changed, so we can. put that
How
on the table.
significantly has their cost increased?
I don't have the numbers up top, but you will be well aware of what those are.
Is there oversight or who, can they just charge whatever? I'm sure they seem fair,
They
but I'm just,
basically
they just.
establish a rate for all of their contract cities.
Okay.
And so they won't be coming to a council meeting like they previously have.
Oh, this is our first meeting with the county administrators. So,
Okay.
Yeah, I would anticipate there would be You guys have to approve the contract down the line. It's our very first. Also one thing, kind of, not really a study session item, but, staff has been more aggressively reached out to by a company that is trying to find a location to build a cell tower somewhere near Sleeping Lady, where it will reach Sleeping Lady. They have approached the city about our cemetery property. With the first proposal I saw, they were offering us $1,000 a year for a 30-year term.
Please say that again.
$1,000 a year for a 30-year term.
He thought you guys needed a joke.
Their counter proposal is now up to $6,000 a year, 30-year term. My experience with cell tower leases in Massachusetts, we had every town I worked for had cell tower installations on our water towers. $50,000 is the starting number per carrier. So before this goes any further, I wanted to see if there was any appetite from the council at all to even discuss having, numbers aside, discuss having a cell tower located on our cemetery.
Put it up on Rob Johnson's property up the.
Then he gets the money. No, they disguise them as tree, developers, they're disguised as a pine tree, it's not like it's a big metal, it's gonna look,
Depends.
they disguise. Well, we
All
can
open
dictate.
for
we can-
discussion. They don't want to pay extra for it.
Right.
No. I'm open, because that's where open discussion,
Yeah.
I just wanna make sure it's clear to everyone and Sharon that it's not just a big metal
No, but
monstrosity potentially, it can be disguised as. a
is there
tree.
any appetite from the current council to have a cell tower located on our cemetery?
No, that's from me.
Yes.
That's a
I'd be
sacred,
open to
that's
a
a sacred place.
Cell tower to graveyard's a horrible headline.
We could look at other options.
Yeah, there might be other places.
Given the numbers that they're sending us, I do not think it's worth us having entertaining this. as a-
Well, you said numbers aside, now you're checking, are
I know.
we adding numbers?
I know.
We're talking about the
I
different
know.
numbers.
I know, you're right. I'm talking out both sides of my mouth. I'm sorry. And that was the last. Thank you.
All right. And tell.
No report.
Okay.
I actually have a few things to fill you guys in on. June 25th, I participated in the Our Valley, Our Future Wildfire Symposium. It was a really awesome experience. I wanted to thank you all for attending the joint meeting with the Planning Commission because I did feel like it was very, very helpful. It was great conversation and we only get to do that twice a year. So appreciate those of you that were able to attend.
You were very helpful as well, probably, yeah.
We are putting together our climate action team. This is to work on our new climate element for the comp plan. If you have any people that you might recommend that I reach out to, please send me an email. Any interest at all. We have our transportation element kickoff meeting in August. We're doing the chip training on July 10th this week, so I'll learn more about that. I'll be an expert. You may have been seeing postings about the well site fencing on Facebook. That is in a 30-day public comment period right now. We're taking public comments. You can feel free to reach out to me. Celeste was assigned to that project. She is out of the country until the 21st, but we're not taking any action. It's just comment period right now. So people can still submit their comments and she will look at them when she gets back, but reach out to me if you have questions. DRB tomorrow for our meeting, we are doing a walking tour of downtown. So from 3 to 5, we're gonna meet here and then do the walk. So you see us out and about, that's what we're doing. Looking at signs, looking at some non-compliant things, getting some expert opinions. I think that's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Maggie.
Andy.
I just have a couple quick items, staff updates, Brian Thompson started on Monday on our utilities division, so these are new from Blair. The Ice Road transmission main, as you're probably aware, we had really long traffic delays when that first started. I didn't actually measure, but I did have people report that they were up to like 45 minutes. So Brantley jumped on that quickly, reached them tonight.
It's a good call. Yeah.
So the work in the highway is going to continue on nights, and we're planning for days on Icicle, and we'll just see what that looks like. But that is planned to be day work. Like Maggie mentioned, the fence project, so Community development is obviously reviewing the permitting side, public works is the applicant. If you have any questions on that project, please let me know. I'm happy to answer them. Friends. Like Maggie said, comments go to her, but if you have like more project questions, I'll be good.
That's one of those things Mike brought up about frequently asked questions. That'd be one of those things you could, when we get to it, projects that generate that kind of stuff, be the place to clarify. So.
Absolutely. And then the last item, like Sylvia mentioned, the pool is open, and I'm gonna be the Debbie Downer here and just say, we're really glad and lucky that it is open this year. We'll be talking about this in the PRSA meeting, but I do just want to put it out there that this pool is really reaching the end of its useful life. And each year that we open the pool is a really positive, good thing. But there is going to be a time in the future where we can't open the pool as it currently is. So just want to put that on your radar. We are going to continue conversations on that.
I think we all know that, but.
I think when people are, you know.
I don't think the community knows that.
Next year by Memorial Day, it's like, well, that would
It's a
be
reality
awesome.
check, I think.
We'll see if we get to open it each year, so.
Yeah, people assume that we're just not getting our act together to get started early enough, rather than the fact that, no, this is a really old piece and finding the stuff and getting it here can take a long time to begin with.
Yeah, it's like people don't understand, like, if it was their pool, like.
Yeah, right. I mean, people have that old.
And a quick reminder to the council that when the PRSA did the indoor pool feasibility study, the first aspect of that originally started as a, can we cover this pool? When they had WTI, Water Technologies Inc. come and do an assessment of our existing pool, it was stated then that we had 5 or 6 years left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was a couple of years.
That was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Not to prolong this discussion, but what is the main failure point? I mean, if the vessel holds water, is it gonna stop holding water all of a sudden?
It's definitely starting to crack more substantially, so it's more than just the liner, it's like the actual concrete of the pool structure itself. Is starting to crack more substantially. The mechanical components, like we did replace the filters for a substantial component, but the rest of the plumbing is also, Megan, I was just saying, I think it's like 2001, 2003, somewhere in there, the age of that pool, and I know, Kit, our interim safety manager, called it down. Other pools, basically the same design as ours that were constructed around the same time. And of course, now I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think it's Afreda was nearly identical to ours. Maybe it's NASA, I don't remember off the top of my head.
Cashmere.
Well, there was another one beyond just Cashmere. But they have closed that pool entirely. I think it was next year. They just closed it entirely because it's just reached its end of its useful life.
Right.
So it's multiple components. It's more than just one thing.
It's weird if you put in all
I
this
guess the old
money on such a
municipal was
permanent
better.
structure and it's
50
literally gonna last 30 years, that's it?
Yeah.
25 years? We can't build a pool to last longer than that?
I am not a pool designer.
Apparently not. Who puts a pool in their backyard if you think you have to tear it out?
City of Wenatchee just replaced their pool.
Really?
That's why they want that aquatic center over in Eastwood. I had a question on the water main replacement project. I thought we had, when I did the roundabout, put pipe under that,
We did, but
but now we're not going under that. We're going down the side.
we're connecting to that. So
Alright.
so the water main runs through, it'd be like the southeast quadrant of the roundabout, so it kind of runs around in your driving lane. But the work that they were doing the first day where they started is tying into that. So that's where they learned how to tactical the roundabout, because it was close enough to the roundabout that we couldn't detour traffic through the roundabout and then have a lane shift. So yeah, they are.
There you, okay. I
But
was
it
wondering,
just wasn't stubbed out very far, we just didn't have the cash on hand to do it at that time.
Okay.
That's all.
That's it? All right, I entertain a motion.
So moved. Adjourned.
Second.
All those in favor, let's hear it. Hey.
I wanted to add, if you guys didn't see that the mayor breakfast, the Crystal, August 6th.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm gonna try if work doesn't. 1:30.
Yeah, it'll be a maybe until that day.
Mayor's breakfast. Yeah, I walked down to the.
Got my 12%.